welcome back to the JMC Reviews. Last month I talked about the first official short film made by one of my favorite directors, Robert Rodriguez, so I figure why not go back to one of the very early film project efforts made by my all-time favorite director and a good friend of Robert Rodriguez, Quentin Tarantino. I made no secret over the years about my idolization of Tarantino and just how much he inspires me as both a director and a screenwriter. I've been reviewing a film by him almost every year since I started doing movie reviews here on YouTube, and I'm about to run out because he actually hasn't directed that many. And the thing with Tarantino is he claims he's going to retire after his next directing job, saying that he wants to end his filmography with a perfect 10. Although it's technically already over 10 if you count Kill Bill 1 and 2. Tarantino doesn't, saying he likes to think of them as one film. And also there's the anthology film 4 Rooms, which that's always debatable if that can count because there's more than one director, but I still think that technically counts as a Tarantino film.
It's debatable.
But there is the movie that I plan to talk about today, which is Quentin Tarantino's very first attempt at making a feature-length film, and ultimately failing for various reasons. And unlike the previous few films I've reviewed, this is not a short film, even though it's only 36 minutes. This is technically a film that was never finished and never even got a full release. And Tarantino looks at it more as a how-to guide on what and what not to do when making a film, and that's what he considers the best thing he got from it. Today we're looking at the amateur, unfinished film, My Best Friend's Birthday from 1987. For some reason I hear that title and all I can think of is a goddamn Hallmark movie. My Best Friend's Birthday was conceived by screenwriter Craig Hammond, who eventually got his friend, Tarantino, to come on as a co-writer and to eventually direct the film. The production began while Tarantino was still working as an employee at the now out-of-business video rental store, Video Archives.
This is one of the few places that Quentin could come as a regular guy and get a job and become like a star, because he was like the star of the store.
I know more about Italian exploitation films and TNA movies. Jess Franco didn't last.
After assembling a $5,000 budget, working off an 80-page script co-written by the two of them, and getting borrowed a 16mm film camera from legendary B-movie filmmaker Fred Olen Ray, Tarantino and Hammond started production in 1984, using mostly friends from Video Archives and people they knew from acting class for the movie's cast, including casting themselves as the main characters. Production took 3 years to complete, only for the film to never get an official release, and don't worry, I will get into the why a little later. But an important thing to know going in is that many of the film's story elements and some of the dialogue would later get utilized and to much better effect in the 1993 Tarantino penned film True Romance.
That's very interesting.
The would-be film starts in a radio station where we see Quentin Tarantino as DJ Clarence Poole, currently interviewing the president of the Eddie Cochran fan club. He takes the opportunity to talk about how Eddie Cochran's death was so traumatizing, he wanted to fucking kill himself, despite only being 3 years old when it happened. And what prevented his little diaper-wearing ass from slitting his wrists?
You know what saved me? Was the Partridge Family. The Partridge Family was coming on. I really wanted to see it, so I thought, okay, I'll watch the Partridge Family, then I'll kill myself.
And in case anyone was wondering what the name of the station is...
You okay, Billy? Oh, Grandma Mommy,
I guess Stephen Wright was on vacation.
K. Billy's super sounds of the 70s weekend just keeps on trucking.
No, I'm sorry, I don't play requests. Because when I'm jock, I play what I want to play when I want to play. Oh, someday maybe you can be a jock and you can play what you want to play. Oh, if your taste is respected as mine, you will. Well, fuck your mama.
I think we just saw how Quentin Tarantino reacts when an employee at the New Beverly Cinema tries recommending a movie for him to play. A fellow station employee slash friend gives Clarence what appears to be a bag of coke, but turns out it's actually a prank and it's a bag of itching powder.
A little dab on the back of your hand, it drives you crazy. You just gotta wash it right off.
that's a liquid.
What a cunt. This leads to a hilariously acted reaction from Tarantino.
Eddie Cochran out. I am in hell! Oh! Oh, you alright?
It's at this point that the best friend of the title enters the film, Mickey, played by co-writer Craig Hammond. Mickey enters his house to find his ex-girlfriend. With it being his birthday, he thinks she's here to get back together. He happily talks about all the messages he's left her, pretty much admitting to fucking stalking her. And then he lays a vomit-inducing number of smacks to her lips.
Forever, and ever, and ever.
And like the painful punchline to a nasty joke, she reveals she's only there to pick up some records she left behind. And to twist the knife even further...
Man, we've been there about an hour, Matthew.
I can't tell if the look on his face is from the heartbreak or the blue balls.
Pray you allow me a few moments to coordinate my seldom used reproductive sequences.
We then see Clarence chatting with some hooker, or as she prefers to be called, call girl, played by Crystal Shaw, and the sexy name she chooses to go by? Misty Knight. Why do I get the feeling that a lot of her clientele are going to be very disappointed when they find out she's not as black as that name implies?
Disappointed!
As they haggle about the price, we get some reasonably impressive cinematography. This film had 4 cinematographers, one of them being fellow video archives clerk and future co-writer of Pulp Fiction, Roger Avery. Clarence eventually works out a price of $40 and sets her up as a birthday gift to cheer up Mickey. We then enter what I suppose to be the middle part of the film. 2 sequences play out with a ton of cutting back and forth. On one end, we see Misty show up at Clarence and Mickey's home, catching Mickey in the shower, much to his bewilderment.
Happy birthday to you! Yay! Now, I will wait outside for you, and when you're done in here, you come out there. What you have on's fine.
On the other end, we see Clarence in a store chatting up with a guy played by the late character actor Alan Garfield, who some may recognize from films like The Conversation, The Cotton Club, and Beverly Hills Cop 2. If you're wondering how Tarantino was able to get an actor like Alan Garfield to appear in this very amateurish film, well, turns out they actually had something of a friendly relationship back in the day. Garfield was more or less Quentin Tarantino's acting coach when he thought that was the career that he was destined for. Whether or not Garfield had any success teaching Tarantino is debatable. Personally, I don't think Quentin's as bad as actors people make him out to be. I mean, yes, he's not going to win any Academy Awards for acting, but when it comes to the characters that he casts himself as, or that he gets cast as, he plays them well.
Chartreuse! The only liquor so good they named a color after it.
Did you notice a sign on the front of my house that said Dead Nigger Storage?
No. Because storing dead niggers ain't my fucking business, that's why.
Clarence and his store buddy have a very intense debate over the career and talent of Elvis Presley.
As a performer, nobody could lay a hand on him. I agree. As an actor, Clarence, he was a lost cause.
This is where we differ.
We get a good fuck you to Colonel Tom Parker, and then Clarence delivers a monologue that any true romance fan will recognize.
I'm no fag, but Elvis was good looking. I always said, you know, if ever I had to fuck a guy, I mean, had to because, like, my life depended on it, I'd fuck Elvis.
Yeah, baby! Yeah.
Now, with this part of the film, I will say, the jump cutting can be a bit abrupt, and it soon becomes clear the sound editing ain't the greatest. However, this sequence does do a good job building tension, which culminates in Misty's pimp, played by Al Harrow, busting in and apparently trying to rape Misty. Mickey comes out of the shower, and this leads to a very funny kung fu fight between the two. Back at the store, Clarence tries to get his bro to write a message for Mickey and his birthday cake that definitely will not fit.
Friendship will always be the love between Mickey and me. The joy of always knowing our love is growing because our friendship is showing through the nose of the...
Wait.
You sure you ain't no fan? Cause, at the very least, I think I'm getting some bi-curious vibes from ya. And all this jumbled jump cutting, one thing is clear. Tarantino always had great taste in selecting songs.
They even got him wearing, I think, penny loafers, for Christ's sake. Doesn't matter.
Clarence calls up his would-be girlfriend, Celia, pretending to be actor Aldo Ray to get her attention.
The reason I called you is because I'm having a party, and I want you to come down here. And it's in my place.
It's then revealed that Clarence isn't even her boyfriend. He's just the asshole she's cheating on her real boyfriend with.
He's opened up a Pandora's box, and he's gonna wish he had kept closed. Because he's getting me pissed. And when I get pissed, watch out.
The fight between Mickey and the pimp comes to a close, and it being kind of unclear who the fucking winner is.
Hello, baby.
And then, this is where the choppy selection of random scenes makes the viewing experience a confusing one. The film cuts ahead to some time later, where we get a nice panning shot of the sick-ass movie posters in Clarence's bedroom, which is probably Tarantino's actual bedroom, as all the scenes at Clarence's home were shot in his, at the time, mother's house. Clarence brings Misty inside. Apparently, she's now with him.
Did I miss something?
They go up to his bedroom, and while that's happening, Celia shows up to tell Clarence she's leaving her boyfriend for him.
Oh, fucking hell.
She walks in on Mickey, who's back in the shower for some reason.
I'm making my own. Who are you?
Who am I? Who are you?
A little shook up by Mickey's naked bod, Celia asks if he and Clarence go to gay bars. Cause a man showering in your side guy's home automatically means they must be fucking. My issue with this part is, even though the whole film is a choppy mess, we were still able to follow what was going on fairly well. But here, it's like we missed 10 to 20 minutes worth of story, and maybe this is where Tarantino got the idea for the missing reels bit in Grindhouse. Celia walks in on Clarence making out with Misty, and surprisingly, she doesn't make her presence known.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Move along. Move along.
While filming their kissing scene, Crystal Shaw accidentally leaned in too far and burned her fucking lips on one of the set lights.
Oh, that's gotta hurt.
Despite concerns from Tarantino and Craig Hammond, she insisted they continue, merely covering the burn with makeup. Tough girl. We cut to Celia's boyfriend, furiously intimidating a bartender to tell him where Clarence lives.
The asshole lives at Harry's apartment over on Eastwood Drive.
This never gets followed up on, at least in the version that I've seen. Clarence and Misty, whose real name is revealed to be Louise, have a long conversation in bed covering various topics from records to tapes to rats to women's shoes, where Quentin openly admits what we've all known for years.
I always try to get into records and tapes, but they kept sticking me in women's shoes. But I have a foot fetish, so it kind of evened itself out.
No fucking shit!
Misty reveals that today was actually her first day as a call girl. She says the movie that influenced her to be a call girl was Brian De Palma's Dressed to Kill, particularly Nancy Allen's character Liz Blake.
Now, why would you want to do a thing like that?
Well, the size of that cock in your pants. I don't think you're so married.
Great role model. The two express genuine interest in each other, and then it just ends. So that was my best friend's birthday, and for anyone wondering why this film was never finished or released, a popular story that went on for years was a lab fire broke out while they were processing the film stock, and therefore they lost over half of the movie. That story has since been debunked as complete bullshit. In actuality, there were many reasons. A few scenes were unable to be filmed, some film roles were apparently either misplaced or badly handled, canceled, and the main reason is Tarantino just found the project to be too embarrassing to put out, feeling it had too many amateur flaws, but he would later use the experience as a lesson on what to do and not to do on his next movie. The version that's been made available is pretty much just a compilation of Tarantino's favorite scenes that he only meant to give to his co-workers/friends. It remained mostly unseen until a copy was leaked onto the internet in the early 2000s. Tarantino didn't dismiss the Lapfire story for years because he thought it was more interesting than the real story.
It's somebody's version of the truth, not the truth.
You can definitely tell Tarantino was still figuring his rhythm out while making this flick. There's no blood, no tight zoom shots, and at no point does any character say the word nigger. That's just plain damn weird.
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria!
The dialogue is not as crisp as it would be in later Tarantino films, but you can absolutely see he had a strong talent for writing, even back then. Technical issues such as editing and sound are pretty messy, but the cinematography is actually well done at times. About half the actors do well, the other half are a little flat or go over the top in the way a theater troupe would. As for co-writer and star Craig Hammond, while he never had a career on the same level as Quentin Tarantino, he has found some work as a screenwriter of various B-movies. Notable titles include Doll Man vs. Demonic Toys, Stalked, Boogie Boy, which he directed, and a couple others in the more recent years. Producer Rand Vossler found some work going forward as both a producer and as a set designer. His most notable producing credit being for Natural Born Killers. Whew, I bet Tarantino loved him for that. As mentioned before, many of this unfinished film's elements will later be reused/retooled into Tarantino's script for True Romance, so it's not like this film was a total creative failure. Tarantino has said that enough footage exists that he could possibly put together a full cut someday. I personally hope he does, just because I'd love to see what led to the third act.
Something stupid, I'm sure.
Do I recommend it? Yeah, I do, on the sense that, it's always good to see where a big director got to start, and to see those little seeds being planted for the much greater projects and talent that was to come. And I hope you enjoyed this, not short film review, but more of a unfinished film review, and next month is October, so time for me to get ready for my favorite month of the year.
He is really strong, really jealous.
Freeze, fudge packer!